Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us. This is the Zoom In with Daniel Root on the 20th of August, 2024 at 8 or 6:30 Pacific time. And I wanted to give a quick introduction to a new service that I have been able to unroll. And it's been something that's been in the making for a lot of really months. But I'm fortunate to be able to now announce, and I've done this already in my Facebook group, where I've announced the fact that we are doing a detoxination retreat. It's a 30-day program, and it's not a scheduled retreat for like a specific date. It is actually a retreat where you get to come and work with me as your detox coach. So I will be actually doing the detoxination role and personally serving you. So this is something that is based in an apartment in Rancho Cordova, and there's a sauna and exercycle and a few other supplies there. And you can come out and actually do a 30-day program with me doing all the work for you. So instead of you coming to my center, I actually will be coming to you. And this is something that has apparently been a big win. We've got the place actually scheduled for the next several months, but just know that this is something that is a lot less expensive than our original center, well, the one that we had during the COVID timeframe. And it does include the actual room. So you have the apartment with full kitchen, washer, dryer. It's got the apartment amenities like a pool, and then inside, of course, the sauna and the exercise. But this is the announcement that I made to the group earlier, and that PDF file is about to display on the screen here. And if it'll hurry up. So you can see that you can download this file from our Facebook group. It's the Sauna Detoxification Using Niacin is the name of the group, by the way. But this is just a brief blurb about it. The total cost is $52.99, and that includes the $2,800 for the 30-day rental of the apartment and a $24.99 fee for my coaching and actual administration of the protocol. So it's not remote coaching. It's actually, I'm going to be there doing the program. I'll be administering it for you. So now here is an example of the apartment. If something else pops up on the screen, I apologize. But anyway, so this is the Detoxination Retreat with Daniel Root, and you can actually get to it from the contact. So you'll see right here is the choice to get to this page. And here it explains that the $2,800 includes these amenities. In fact, they're broken down into a much larger list, but then the program cost itself. So here's the accommodations that come with the apartment. And here are some images for you to see how beautiful this apartment is. So if you're interested in working with me as your detoxinician, please fill out this form and it will send an email to me and to the group that actually is the apartment management team. So you'll get a contact from Marlena Urick. And so she will be able to work with you to find the right dates for you to come out. And if you haven't already, please schedule a complimentary consultation with me before anything, because we want to make sure that our protocol is right for you and that there are no preclusions or contraindications. But if it looks like everything is to go and you want to come out, please fill out the form and it will let us know to contact you and set up the dates. So this is the announcement I've been making in the last Zoom In with Daniel Root, and I'll be doing it for the next two because I'm hitting all these different time zones. But if you have any questions about this during this meeting today, please feel free to ask. But again, you can talk about the protocol, you can talk about binders, saunas, anything about the protocol. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and we'll get this Q&A started. Looks like we have a good group today. And I heard somebody had a question. Say again, who's asking the question?
Catherine.
Oh, hi, Catherine. Yeah, you've got Rich Miller on there, so it throws
Yep,
me off.
yep, yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh, no
So
worries.
just a quick question. You met with my sister and I, and she has been chemically poisoned with dry cleaning chemicals. And so you talked to us about how to do the changes, with regards to her using it, me using it. Is there going to be a time, I mean, how do we determine that we can actually, I guess, be in the sauna together? We're going to get a two-person sauna, and, how will we know that?
So the concern I'm hearing is, and I think we've already had kind of a conversation along these lines where her toxic body burden coming out of her could intoxicate you. Is
Right.
that the concern? Yeah.
Yeah.
So frankly, we've never had a problem with that when we've had multiple people in our sauna. I had a four-person, it was a Radiant Health E4H, which was a beautiful four-person sauna, and we've had four people in there at one time. And it's the toweling off is what makes the big difference, and also having towels on the bench. So everybody had their own towels, and they were wiping off as they were sweating. And so there, it's more of a concern with a steam room to have things passing from one person to another in the steam itself. So with these infrared saunas, that's really not much of a concern at all.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks for that,
Mhm.
Dan.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi, I have a question.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi. Well, actually, I have two questions. So the first one is do you know if your protocol at all detoxifies polymers, microplastics?
So it's not the actual microplastics, it's the BPAs and phthalates that come with the plastics. So no, we're not going to be able to actually get the like the particles that are much larger than the BPAs or phthalates would be. So microplastics are something that's never been tested on this protocol. And I don't want to risk saying that we can detox them because I've actually looked into this, and it doesn't appear that the plastics themselves are going to come out through sweat. But any of the what makes plastic, like the BPAs and phthalates, especially those that keep the plastic squeezy, or like the plastic bottles so that you can squeeze them. That's the phthalates, and very toxic to the body. So those are the things we can detox, but not the microplastics. Good question, though.
Okay, thank you. My other question is, so I've just started kind of building up to the 500. Today is my day 2. I just took 100 milligrams. And is it normal to flush like within like less than 5 minutes? I think I started flushing at like 3 minutes. It was pretty intense. It was like all over my body, and it lasted, I would say, about 20 minutes, and then it started to dissipate.
So the first question on my mind is, was it a powdered form, even in a capsule, but was it a powdered form?
Yes, it's powdered, and I've got a micro scale, like a lab scale. So I didn't want anything in a capsule. So I just weigh it out.
Yep. So that's exactly why the powdered form is going to be an immediate, response, whereas the capsules tend to take 15 minutes or so to digest. So when you're doing a powdered form, it will definitely be within the 3-minute time frame. So I'm not surprised at all.
Okay, thank you. So that's normal. I don't need to worry about anything then. Just keep
No,
going.
not at all. In fact, are you doing a an up titration like on the 5-day niacin flush type of thing, or are
Yes.
you okay? So you're using the sauna while you're flushing?
Not all the time, as best as I can. When I start after the 500 milligrams, I'll definitely be doing the sauna every day, but it's difficult to commit to that right now.
Sure, sure. Are you aware of the document that's called the Niacin Flush Sauna Detox?
I'm not sure if that's the one I have. I purchased like a PDF from you.
And it's got the 5-day niacin flush, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the one. Yeah, I'm following that, and I've read through it several times, but there's a lot of information in there. It's a little
Right.
confusing sometimes.
So the 5-day niacin flush sauna detox is designed to bring you up to the 500 milligram dose so that you can then start a 30-day program. And during those 5 days, you're taking advantage of the flush so that you get some of the bloodborne toxicants that are being pumped by the vasodilation out to the dermal region so that the sauna can sweat them out. Excuse me. My throat is giving me grief tonight, and I tried to drink some honey tea with or honey with lemon juice to clear it up, but I just needed to really clear my throat there, so sorry about that.
That's okay.
Anyway, so the niacin flush sauna detox is something that is more appropriate for everyday use or every other day use. And it's something that if you're not ready to actually begin the 30-day program, then you should try this one. It was designed for firefighters who cannot commit to a full 30-day program at 2 hours a day and have to time the niacin for 2.5 to 3 hours ahead of time. They're on call and they just cannot commit to something like that. So we've got something that is valuable as far as it takes advantage of the flush, but it's not something that needs to be done every day, and you don't have to wait the 2.5 to 3 hours to do it. So the niacin flush sauna detox, if you are a member of my website, and you have access to the Forms and Information Center, then you can download that. In order to become a member there, you would have to either purchase the protocol guidebook or actually get the free version with the purchase of the full book or Kindle version. So it's something that is available in the members section. And also, if you're a member of my Facebook group, it's in the files section. So it's called the Niacin Flush Sauna Detox.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So I have recently started using this tool. It's called the Face Blaster. And so I've been using it for the last 3 days. I didn't use it. I did take my first 50 of the niacin today. Got a tiny flush. But I didn't use the Face Blaster because I forgot to ask you when we spoke. So I know I'm supposed to be toweling off just towards the direction of the heart. With the Face Blaster, you go back and forth and sideways. So can I use that like maybe the first 45 minutes in the sauna and then just do the towel last, or should I just not do it while I'm doing this protocol?
You know, I have heard some people having issues with that, and so I've never been one to recommend them. But
Okay.
I don't know it well enough to know if it's designed for sauna. Is that?
Yeah, the sauna that I purchased, they actually kind of promoted it.
Okay.
But because I guess it just breaks up the fascia,
Mhm.
the way your muscles are kind of to help get rid of cellulite and wrinkles, etc.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've only heard stories that people have had issues with them, but I've not explored them. I've not used them, and can't really make any kind of intelligent or experienced recommendation on that. I would prefer you don't do it during the protocol, because the protocol
Okay.
itself is pretty, it's going to be stressful to the body. It's, call it
Okay.
what it is. It's detoxing the body at 3 times normal levels. So you're
Yeah.
already in a heightened state of sympathetic mode. I don't know that we'd want to do anything more that could aggravate that. So
Okay.
I just don't
Yeah.
think it's a good idea, but that's not an educated idea or opinion.
Well, I did notice that using it the last 3 days, that each day I've been sort of getting more and more tired. So I think it's probably breaking loose, maybe with the heat, some of the toxins.
Yeah, it could be.
And,
Could be.
and that I'm probably just not expelling them properly. So I'll just wait. Thank you.
Yeah, it'd probably be better if you did. So,
Okay.
but thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Okay, Rachel, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I have been working up to, getting to the 30-day start. And so
Mhm.
I started like very slowly with the methylation based protocol. I've only taken up to like 100 milligrams of niacin at a time.
Mhm.
And it at first gave me a flush. Now it doesn't
Mhm.
at all. So should I maybe just ramp up to doing like the 5-day niacin protocol? Or the 5-day, I forget what the exact title of it is.
So there is a 5-day that is a primer for working up to the full protocol.
Mhm.
Now I'm talking about what's called the niacin flush sauna detox.
Yeah.
And it is literally something that you can do every other day or once a week, whatever you want. But it is the point of it is to take niacin, and when you start flushing, then you go into the sauna. Or if you didn't preheat in time, it's okay if you have to wait until the sauna is preheated and your flush is just dissipated or gone. But as long as
Mhm.
it's within, a very short time frame of the flush, then the work will be done. It's pushing bloodborne toxins out to the skin layers. So that's where the sauna comes in and helps to detox those. But the one thing that's important to keep in mind with this is that you're not having to wait the 2.5 hours. Actually, there's a few things. You're not having to do all the other protocol elements. There's the fact that you will essentially want to do binders and some of the other things like hydration and maybe electrolytes and toweling off, but you're not going to be doing the exercise. You're not going to be doing oils, lecithin, all those other things. So this is literally just something to take advantage of the flush while it's occurring. And once the flush stops occurring at whatever dose, like you just mentioned, 100 milligrams is now no longer making you flush. So I would increase you to 200 milligrams and then hold that dose for as many days as you want to do the program or do the niacin flush sauna detox. And it's really that simple. And but I do write out the instructions in that document. And I think if you can download it and read through it, it'll make a lot more sense. But it is something that does take advantage of the flush, and it does not detox the body at 3 times normal levels like the full protocol, but it does help with, let's just say it improves a regular sauna, so you get more effect.
Thank you for explaining that. And I'll definitely read over that document again. But I'm planning on starting the 30 days in September. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll go from there. But then I also asked a question over email, and I don't know if you were going to address it here, maybe, but it was about not potentially taking the vitamins like A, D, K, and then the B vitamins. I do eat like a very like nutrient rich diet. And I also at the moment take cod liver oil and take like beef liver capsules and things like that. So in that circumstance, would it be important still to maybe take those, or is that something like I could do without?
Well, the reason that I have people doing the vitamins is because vitamins, minerals, and food work synergistically together. Now, the vitamin dosing has always been at a rather high level, and that was due to the fact that the original protocol was drug addiction rehab, and drug addicts are going to be depleting the B vitamins when they're high, and they're also going to be eating junk food, munchies like McDonald's. So they're not going to be getting nutrients, and the body will sweat out the good stuff with the bad, but it is mostly the minerals. So I am more of a stickler about making sure that you're getting the minerals replenished. But as long as you're eating those with nutritious food, then you can get away with not having to do the vitamins, especially at the doses that are recommended in the protocol. But just know that we've cut back quite a bit with the vitamin A and vitamin D simply because of the most current information about the two. And so we've actually looked at it from the standpoint of what is the safest dose that we can give that's still going to replenish what gets lost to sweat. So some mineral or some vitamins do get lost to sweat, including the fat soluble vitamins. But I just want you to know that it's your call. If you decide you don't want to do them, then just make sure that that diet is very healthy. It sounds like it is, but the minerals do need to be replenished, and that includes the electrolytes. So we have the mineral tablets, they're capsule, yeah, they're tablets, and then there's also the CalMag beverage, and with the electrolytes in the kit. And I hope others are, if you're not buying the kit, you're getting the right electrolytes. You should have salt and you should have potassium. And I like having the potassium as a separate pill because there'll be nights where maybe your feet start cramping, and that's a sign that you're potassium deficient. So it's nice to be able to just take potassium pills. And by the way, while we're on that subject, if you're having muscle cramping in the legs, especially the calves, that's a good sign that you're magnesium deficient. But we don't have a separate magnesium pill, but it is okay if you use the magnesium from the kit. But it is important to replenish those kinds of minerals and electrolytes on this program.
Okay, perfect. Because I have all of the minerals and electrolytes and all of that in the separate bottles, but I was gonna purchase, the vitamin A DK, but then I was like, my diet, I feel like I get all of these things. So I'm glad you explained that, and thank you.
Yeah, refresh me. Were you gadolinium toxic?
No.
Okay. For those of you that are gadolinium toxic, the vitamins A, D, K, especially the D3K2, are very important because the gadolinium from MRI contrast dyes is a calcium channel blocker, and you need the D3 and K2 in order for your body to be able to absorb calcium. So glad you brought that up because I do recommend a blend like this one right here, the D3K2, and this one actually has MCT oil. But anyway, this is for people with gadolinium toxicity. All right, any other
While we're on
questions?
that topic,
Mhm.
while we're on that topic, I actually have one more question. When it comes to MRI contrast dyes or CT contrast dyes, is the iodine contrast dye, does that have gadolinium in it as well?
No.
Or just, okay.
No, it's
Okay, interesting.
typically a radioactive iodine though, or a radioactive barium. Those do tend to exit the body normally and nicely, but at the same time, if there is any radioactive materials that do stay in the body, our protocol has definitely been demonstrated to detox radioactive elements. So that's good to know.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Daniel,
Yes, is that Rex?
that's right. Yep. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful.
That's good.
I normally see you in the camera. Is that camera pointing up at the ceiling?
No, I've got a plate over it that I couldn't unstick.
No
No,
worries. Good to hear from you.
just touched on the gadolinium again.
Mhm.
I do have another MRI that I'm going to have to take here shortly. And you have told me in the past about another substance that they can use that exits the body better than the gadolinium, if I'm pronouncing it right. What would that be again? I
Okay,
lost my note.
so there is a product called Gadolite, and it's not very adopted in this country, and it's really only for GI tract type of MRIs. I think it also works with some of the organs attached there to the GI tract, but it's not something that I have really seen being used in our country. But Gadolite is a gadolinium-based contrast agent that is chelated with zeolite. And I love the fact that the studies show that the subjects that were given gadolite had zero retention of the gadolinium in the body. That means to me that the zeolite is the strongest chelator as well as the strongest binder of the gadolinium. And that can be important when you understand how zeolite in the GI tract is, and this is why we do it 3 to 5 times a day on the protocol, is picking up whatever is either coming through the bile acids that are going through enterohepatic recirculation through the liver, and the liver is bringing back into the small intestine any of these toxicants that it was not able to break down. So those get brought back into the GI tract, ideally to be excreted with the feces. However, because of their lipophilic nature, they tend to reabsorb into the tissues faster than they can be excreted or eliminated. So zeolite will pick them up and clean those bile acids, which is actually helping to filter the liver, but it's going to make them go out with the feces. Now, the other thing that it does, the zeolite does, is helps with the villi in the small intestine. There have been studies that show that it actually improves the surface area for the nutrients to be absorbed into the blood vessels flowing through the villi. So the villi is those little finger-like protrusions that are on the walls of the small intestine, and it helps with the nutrient absorption, and it's also filtering or chelating blood passing through those little villi. So there's a secondary action because technically zeolite is a binder, but that binders work in the gut and chelators work in the blood, and zeolite is apparently able to do both. So you get a better understanding of why I prefer zeolite over just about anything else. So, and the other fact of zeolite is that it has two different mechanisms that allow it to absorb, or we'll call it adsorb, toxins, as well as it does an ion exchange where it is picking up the positively charged poisons because it's negatively charged itself. So anyway, the zeolite is the most important element, and I keep getting these people sending articles that indicate that zeolite is not safe. And I've written a blog article, and you can find it in my blog articles on my website that that talks about zeolite clinoptilolite, is it safe? And that article is extremely important for people to read if you have any concerns whatsoever about the safety of zeolite. So, but I hope that answered the question, Rex.
Well, I've got this MRI scheduled and I just didn't know, I did not understand that they did not use the alternative in this country, so.
No, I've never seen it actually in use in this country. It's probably not yet widely adopted, but it seems to have been FDA approved. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with it, but I have my suspicions. Call me a conspiracy theorist.
All right, well, thank you.
Yes, no worries. Thanks for the question, by the way. And I'm sorry you're gonna have to undergo that MRI, but ideally you can request it without contrast, because that is the one thing that you should do first, is see if you can get the MRI done without contrast.
Well, that's the, I guess that's what's confusing me a little bit. The purpose of this MRI is to try to, you know, compare it to what they saw before. And hopefully the situation is better, which is what I'm hoping for. But if I go in, we're going into the same location or same place to get the MRI done, and that's their purpose, is they want to compare it to what they did before. So I'm just thinking, if I ask them to do it without the contrast dye, would they just kind of laugh me out the door?
Yeah, I don't know. And this is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor, just because my initials are DR. But if you can do it, if you can ask for it without contrast, that would be my choice.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
No worries. I think I heard another question forming out there.
I have a question. Hi, it's
Yes.
Elke. I had some problems with my microphone, so that's why it took me so long.
Oh.
I heard you talking about potassium, and my potassium on the last blood draws has been always on the high end, close to the being too high. How can I address that?
Well,
I mean, I shouldn't take any supplements when I do your program, right? I haven't
yeah,
started
you're
yet,
an
but
exception. Yeah, you are an exception to the rule, because it sounds like our protocol will help reduce the potassium levels in your system. 4,200 milligrams, by the way, is the ideal potassium level in the body, and we should be taking that pretty much daily. So I don't normally have to think about potassium levels being too high, but if you're above the 4,200 milligrams or whatever they measure it at, and it's too high, yeah, you can skip the potassium.
okay. I bought your book, so I just started reading it, and when I'm through with it, then I will do a Zoom session with you.
Wonderful.
So, and then another question, when I'm in a sauna, sometimes when I come out of it and I'm in the, I guess, 140, 138, somewhere around there, and I'm coming out of there and my heart rate is higher. And I heard before that people without a thyroid, they tend to get the heart rate higher faster when they exercise. So I don't know if that's the reason, or, I mean, is that something I have to worry about?
Well, the sauna alone is going to increase cardiovascular output, so you will have a higher heart rate and you can feel like tachycardia. But when you're on the niacin, by the way, niacin, the flush, is going to lower blood pressure, which is probably a good thing to point out for anybody wanting to do the niacin flush sauna detox. It's a little disclaimer, if you will, that if you have low blood pressure, you might want to monitor the systolic value, because if you are flushing and the systolic value, the upper value, drops below 90, there's a chance of, risk of dizziness or fainting in the sauna. But if you're missing your thyroid, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, when I was 18, they took it out
Okay.
a long time ago.
Yeah, so the fact that you may have increased heart rate from exercise faster than a person with a thyroid is somewhat out of my pay grade, but I would just say that being in a sauna is going to certainly increase the heart rate, and it's actually one of the benefits of sauna. So I don't think I'd be terribly concerned unless the beats per minute is getting higher than what's safe. But I don't know what that would be for you. So,
I don't think I'm quite there.
okay, good.
So another question, if niacin helps to pull out toxins from the sebaceous glands, how does it reach the lead and the gadolinium in bones?
So I hear a missing link in your understanding. The niacin induces two separate conditions in the body. The first one being the obvious flush, and that's pushing a lot more blood around through the capillaries and the surface layers of the skin. So that's one action. And in fact, the increased vasodilation is also helping to mobilize toxins from the pathways that it's going through. But the secondary effect is called rebound lipolysis. And since you haven't read the book yet, it sounds like, because you just got it right, the
Yeah.
rebound lipolysis is explained in the book and also in several of my videos. But that secondary effect is actually liberating mostly fat stored toxins. And the gadolinium and lead store in adipose marrow tissues. So those are fat tissues. And the rebound lipolysis condition does affect those areas. So does the brain, by the way. The brain is considered to be 60 to 70% fat. However, it's not all adipose fat. So there is definitely adipose tissues in the brain, and we do detox those. The other thing too is many of these toxins are going to be storing in other cells that aren't not even the fat cells, because all cells of the body have what's called a lipid bilayer. And that lipid bilayer is lipophilic on the interior of the cell membrane, and it's hydrophilic on the exterior of the cell membrane. So lipophilic xenobiotics, or these toxicants that are foreign to the body, are able to even store in those tissues. But fortunately, the way our protocol works, there's a lot of supporting elements that allow those toxicants to be released, and lecithin is one of them. Lecithin is a primary source of choline, and choline is needed for cell membrane permeability. Also, evening primrose oil is an omega-6 essential fatty acid, and the cells are essentially omega-6s. So they are, or the cell membranes especially, so they need these fatty acids to be able to allow these toxicants to come out. One thing too that I don't really talk about too much because it gets way into the weeds is the fact that lecithin is an emulsifier, and it is able to combine both the watery materials with oily materials. And because of the lipophilic nature of a lot of these xenobiotics, it's actually because of that feature that it can, you can almost call it binding with, but it's helping to transport these lipophilic xenobiotics through the cell membranes, through the interstitial fluids, into the blood system, and then out through the sebaceous sweat. So that's a feature that is really kind of way deep into the science behind this protocol that I don't really talk about too much. But it's important to note that the gadolinium is storing in a lot of these tissues, not just fat. So we're able to get that out of just about every cell or every compartment and every fat store, that is. so that it's the most effective way to get gadolinium out of the system. And I will add, though, that when somebody's doing DTPA chelation along with our protocol, the results can be even more staggering. We've had people doing once a week DTPA chelation with our protocol, and their practitioners are blown away by how much better they're doing than if they were just doing straight chelation. And I attribute that to the rebound lipolysis, because that's actually bringing 3 times the levels at the peak, 3 times the levels of toxins from the fat into blood, where the chelators can actually pick them up. So this program has so many key features to it that allow the body to eliminate gadolinium, lead, and all other lipophilic xenobiotics. It's truly amazing, and I love to steal from Monsanto and say that it's broad spectrum. So
Did you see IV chelation, DTPA,
DTPA chelation, yeah.
the IV chelation?
Yeah,
Or
there's a calcium and a
capsules?
zinc form of the DTPA, and I believe the Semelka protocol uses both. I think he starts out with one and then changes out to the other, but I'm not a Semelka, I've not been trained by him, and so I don't really know his protocol, but I'm familiar with the fact that the DTPA is far more effective as a chelator than EDTA or any of the others that are available.
Thank you. One quick question that might be a yes or no question. When I start your protocol, can I switch from a morning session to an evening and back,
Yes,
or do
absolutely.
I have to do it every 24 hours?
So the goal is to make it consistent so that it gets into a routine. That helps with the commitment level. But if life gets in the way and you have to switch from a morning to an afternoon or evening, it's perfectly okay to do so. Just remember to recalculate when you take the niacin dose. It should be a minimum of 2.5 hours prior to exercise so that you're in the sauna by the 3rd hour. And just a little pro tip here is that we would have you do that when you're coming to the center, when I had one, so that you would basically have taken the niacin 2.5 hours before you drive over to the center. And then by the time you get there and we do all your vitals and everything, then you're able to start exercise and be in the sauna, at that 3-hour mark. However, you literally can be delayed up to 5 hours. So if you took your niacin and then something happens, you got to run to the store and you come back and it's going on 5 hours since you ingested niacin, you'll actually get a perfectly good detox that day. So it's a pro tip to know that I always talk in minimums when I say 2.5 hours.
Okay, that's good to know. I like the idea of the center, but I'm still working and I won't get enough time off.
Yeah. The idea of coming out to Sacramento is something that I was really happy to be able to offer again. But before, we were operating out of, or I was operating when I closed down the center, which the sun is starting to come through my window, so my green screen is now starting to show up. But the fact that I had that center behind me from 2016 to 2019, and then I moved into a chiropractor's wellness center, and his overhead was so high that I had to charge $6,300 for a 30-day program, and that did not even include the accommodations or your travel and all that. So it was something that I had always just cringed at, trying to sell that space to have people come out. But here, for $52.99, you're getting the actual apartment that I'm going to be coming to deliver the protocol. So it's a lot more cost effective, and having, working with me makes it so you don't have to think much about what's going on. I'm able to do all the work for you. A lot of people with brain fog are, not able to really follow this. And there's other conditions that can cause people to really need that extra support. And I'm more than happy to work with you. And I hope that some of you watching this video will take me up on it and fill out that form and let us know you're interested. We'll be happy to reach out to you and give you the whole instruction on what to do to come out here. So,
Thank you.
yes, you're very welcome. So do we have any other questions?
I have one last one. You just
Sure.
brought up EDTA, and it got me thinking, and I had wanted to ask you this. What are your thoughts on like the microsomal calcium disodium EDTA that's like now in a liquid form, where it's like more readily absorbed into the cell versus like the powder form of EDTA?
Yeah, so chelation is not my strong suit. I am knowledgeable to a point because I do follow, especially the MRI group, where Dr. Samelka is very well loved for his support of people there. And it's not something that I've spent much time with. Our protocol is my focus. In fact, that's why you'll notice that in my Facebook group, I don't really allow a lot of other either modalities or just health in general or wellness in general type of topics, because I really want to keep it focused on this program and how it can help people. And in fact, it's truly amazing what we've seen reversed with this program. So if you haven't already watched it, there's a part 2 video that's the deeper dive into detoxination. It's in the links to, or in fact, now it's on my website through the fact that I have a YouTube link where all of my YouTube channel is now essentially on my website. So every time I upload a video to my YouTube channel, it's automatically there now on my website. So you can find it in that YouTube video library, and it's the second part to the original Science Behind Detoxination, and I go into all of the conditions. Actually, there are a few that aren't even on that list, but most of the conditions that have no known etiology or cause, that are non-communicable and non-genetic, that are environmental toxicant linked. And I've seen probably close to 80% of those conditions actually reversed with this program. What makes that so exciting is the fact that we came from occupational medicine and drug addiction rehab. So we were, literally with blinders on, where we were focused on acute toxicities from injuries from the workplace. So if somebody got mercury poisoning or PCB exposures or something like that from their workplace, they would come to the center for detoxing, and we weren't dealing with chronic conditions. But the more I researched for the book, on chapter 1, by the way, the more I understood how these environmental toxicants could potentially, the ones that are causing diseases, could potentially be eliminated with this protocol because it's that powerful. And when I brought it to the public in 2019, I was astounded to see all of the different things that essentially can only be masked with pharmaceuticals. So the symptoms are being masked rather than dealing with the root cause, that overused term. I get to use it because my last name is Root. But anyway, the root cause of most conditions is environmental toxicant related. So these are the conditions with no known etiology or cause and not communicable or non-genetic. And if you go into that video, if you watch that video, you'll be stunned to see the list. It's 2 columns long, and it does show pretty much most everything that, well, let's just say I've seen 80% of those reversed, at least in one person at a time. So it's not like everybody's going to have the same results. It's just that I've been blessed to see that we're able to actually handle a lot of conditions. And it's far more rewarding what I do today than when I was in the IT world, let me just say.
I am absolutely going to go watch that after this.
You should. In fact, I even debunked the debunking articles out there that people have been sending me over the years that say you cannot sweat toxins out through your sweat glands in a sauna. And I love to respond by saying, well, that's true, you don't. Because literally the word toxin has a meaning, and it's not something that we're detoxing. We use the word toxin, and I would prefer to say toxin over lipophilic xenobiotics, but the definition of a toxin is an antigenic poison or venom of plant or animal origin, one produced by or derived from microorganisms and present in low concentrations in the body can cause disease. So there's nothing about heavy metals or man-made chemicals in there. The definition, or what that's defined as, is toxicants. And environmental toxicants, once they enter the body, are xenobiotics. They're foreign substances, and 50 to 70% of those are lipophilic. So they're fat attracted or fat soluble. And because of that, they're hydrophobic. So when you get a lipophilic xenobiotic, how to get it out of the body is not through watery eccrine sweat. So we need the sebaceous sweat, and that's why we switched to infrared saunas, because they produce sebaceous sweat at lower temperatures and for longer periods of time that you can sit in the sauna. So when they say you cannot sweat toxins out through your sweat glands in a sauna, that's right, you don't. We sweat toxicants that become xenobiotics out through our sebaceous sweat, but not through the sweat glands.
And also, I'm very excited about all of this because you and I had a conversation about, diseases, quote unquote, that have just popped up over the last, 20 years. I myself have like very rare things that have happened, and it's, things that have never been heard about before the early 2000s. So it'll just be, I'm like using this as my own experiment as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be fascinating.
Well, I wish all the best in health for you, because truly, in fact, I ought to just point out the fact that I do detoxination training, right? So I train others to do what I do. And I have a large number of integrative and functional medicine doctors who are doing the training. And when I'm working with them, I tell them, honestly, whatever your patient comes in with, run them through this program first, and then deal with what's left. There probably won't be much. So, it's a case of once you run somebody through this program, the barriers to good health disappear. So the body is able to actually fight back any opportunistic pathogens, for example, or any conditions that it wasn't able to deal with because of the barriers. And, one of the things that's important to keep in mind with these opportunistic pathogens is the fact that they feed off of heavy metals. And so they'll feed off the heavy metals. That doesn't mean they're taking the heavy metals out of your body. It just means that they've temporarily moved it into their body, but then they're going to excrete their waste, which becomes a toxin, a true definition of the word toxin. And then the heavy metals are still in the body. So, and what I've learned through these years of working with this protocol is, and with my training background in electronics engineering technology, is that these heavy metals can actually short circuit the electrochemical signaling in the body. So your body is actually being disrupted because it's being short circuited, for crying out loud. It's like sticking a fork in an outlet. You short circuit the signaling, and you get all kinds of weird symptoms, especially like twitching and cramps, or I should say, there's the ET, essential tremor, or the shakes of Parkinson's, things like that. And in fact, those are on that list that I mentioned earlier.
I have never heard that explanation yet. That is so fascinating. Wow.
Yeah. Anybody else have a question?
One quick question for you. When do you recommend taking the potassium? I couldn't find it in the document.
So if you didn't get the kit and you didn't get the dosing charts for the kit, then it's probably not very obvious. The electrolytes are consumed after each sauna cycle. So if you're in an infrared sauna environment, you're going to be doing a 45-minute sauna, and then you're going to take a 5 to 15-minute break, and that's when you take the electrolytes. And what I consider the electrolytes from the kit, or I should say what I consider electrolytes that are in the kit, are the potassium pills, the salt tablets, and the plasma electrolytes. And those plasma electrolytes are also known as cell salts. So those are all consumed during the 5 to 15 minute break. And then when you do your 30-minute sauna, after that one, you're going to take them again. And the reason for doing it that way is because you're depleting the body of the electrolytes. You need to be able to absorb the fluids that you're drinking, and this is how you're going to do it. You're going to have electrolytes in the body that help your body to absorb the fluids into the tissues. So it's really important to know that the way things are timed have a lot to do with how things can interact with one another. So we do things the way we do because they've been shown to work that way.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll add that to my chart. My husband and I are starting it on Saturday. We'll be up to our 500. So I want to make
Beautiful.
sure I've got everything right.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes, my pleasure. But thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks for your time. Good night.
Thank
My
you, Daniel.
pleasure, guys. My pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.